Okay, welcome to Mindy's column, and we're going to talk about FEMA camps. Okay, we've been talking about the FEMA disaster that's going to be happening in October of 2013. Well, I thought we'd get off that, and I've been doing some investigation because everybody's always hearing about the FEMA concentration camps and all that stuff, and about these FEMA camps that seem to be popping up all over the place. In fact, if you go on YouTube and type in FEMA camps, oh my God, you'll just be, oh man, there's just thousands of those videos everywhere. But where are these FEMA camps located? Who the hell knows? You're not going to find out watching the YouTube videos. I mean, you'll find thousands of videos on these alleged FEMA camps, and you'll see videos of these alleged FEMA camps, but you won't see where they're at. Where the frick are they? So once again, I had to do some research and Google and Google and Google until I found a site that finally gave me a list of where these FEMA camps are. Because I figured there had to be a list somewhere because somebody's paying for these FEMA camps, and taxpayers are funding FEMA the last time I knew. So frickin' God, there had to be a list somewhere, because aren't they supposed to tell us where our tax dollars are going? So I finally found a list on a site that told me where these FEMA camps are located. So I'm going to read off the location of these alleged FEMA camps. Now, if you're watching this video and you happen to live in one of these states and happen to be in the location of one of these alleged cities where this FEMA camp is, check it out. I'm kind of curious to see whether this list is legitimate and whether this mysterious FEMA camp actually exists. If it does or doesn't, comment on my video, because I'd like to know, one way or the other. Does this FEMA camp exist or doesn't it? Because like I said, I found this list after Googling and Googling and Googling. Because, I know there's like a ton of conspiracy wrapped up in these FEMA camps. The list that I found was very extensive. And there are a lot of FEMA camps according to this list. In fact, I'm not even going to name off all the cities in all the states, because if I just didn't want to have to write them all down, because there are a lot of frickin' FEMA camps in the United States. And so I'm just going to read off a few of them, and then I have posted the link to the list that I am reading off to you, and you can go to this link and see the list for yourself, and you can look up your state, especially if I don't read off your state, because all 50 states are involved. So if I don't read off your state, that doesn't mean that your state doesn't have a FEMA camp, so don't panic. Just go to this link and scroll down the list till you get to your state, and then it will show you where your FEMA camps are located, so you don't have to panic. There's a FEMA camp for you. I guarantee you. There's only 2 states in the United States that don't have a FEMA camp listed, and that's probably not because you don't have a FEMA camp. That's just because there's no data located on those 2 states. So the person that put together the list couldn't find any data on the 2 states listed. So, like I said, check out the list and find a FEMA camp that is apparent for or that applies to you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and read what I did manage to write down. So, Alabama. York FEMA camps are in Opelika. I think I'm reading that right. I may be slaughtering that. I'm sorry. Opelika, Aliceville, Fort McClellan, Montgomery Air Force Base, and Taliga. Again, sorry if I'm slaughtering the name of your city. In Alaska, your FEMA camp is in Anchorage, in the Anchorage Wilderness east of Anchorage, and in the wilderness northeast of Anchorage. So apparently that you've got 2 FEMA camps, one east of Anchorage and one northeast of Anchorage. So they're having fun out there in your wilderness. There's also a FEMA camp in Fairbanks on the Air Force Base there. And there is a FEMA camp in Fairbanks east of the Fort Wainwright. Arizona, you've got FEMA camps at Fort Huachuca. Again, sorry if I'm slaughtering that. You have a FEMA camp in Pinal County on the Gila River. You have a FEMA camp on Yuma County, or in the Yuma County on the Colorado River, and it happens to be in the old Japanese concentration, or well, it would have been a Japanese prison camp. I forget what they call it, refugee camp. Basically, it was a prison camp. They were held there, so I don't know what they called it, but it was a prison camp. You have a FEMA camp in Phoenix. You have a FEMA camp in Florence. You have a FEMA camp in Wickenburg. You have a FEMA camp in Sedona. And you have, no, that's it for Arizona. Moving on to Arkansas, you have a FEMA camp in Fort Chaffee, a FEMA camp in Fort Smith, Arkansas. Oh, I'm sorry. You have a FEMA, let me correct that. Your FEMA camp is in Fort Chaffee near Fort Smith, Arkansas. I have to make a correction. I can't read my own handwriting. Okay, moving on to California. You have a FEMA camp in Vandenberg, or on the Vandenberg Air Force Base, which is in Santa Maria. You will have access to a FEMA camp at the Norton Air Force Base. I assume that basically the Air Force bases are doubling as FEMA camps. So in a state of emergency, the Air Force bases will just be doubling as FEMA camps. I guess they're going to pull double duty. And Norton Air Force Base is San Francisco. Then there also McLennan Air Force Base and Mather Air Force Base also will be pulling in California. Will be pulling double duty as well. Moving on to the next list. So basically, the Air Force bases in California are going to be acting as FEMA bases, or FEMA camps. Man, I'm getting a lot of sleep. FEMA camps in the event of a disaster. So remember that, people. If everything goes to shit, go to your local Air Force base, because that is where you'll be finding your FEMA camp. So don't panic. Go to the Air Force base. I don't know why well, anyway. Okay, moving on. Colorado. Your FEMA camps are going to be in Trinidad, again, sorry if I'm so slaughtering that. Grenada, that's in Prowers County. Again, that's in a World War II Jap camp. Fort Carson, that's going to be where your FEMA camp is. Colorado doesn't have a lot of camps. That's your option there. Connecticut and Delaware. You guys are the two states that we do not have any information on your FEMA camps. There's no data on the list for you guys, so I don't know what's going on there. Apparently, your FEMA camps are well hidden from us. So hopefully, as that data comes in, eventually, somebody will eventually find that, and maybe it'll make it onto a list someday. Florida. Your FEMA camps are in Avon Park. Are in the Avon Park on the Air Force Gunner Range, or on the Air Force Gunnery Range. Now, hopefully the Air Force will not be using the gunnery range while you're in camp there, because that would kind of suck for you with bullets whizzing. A little attempt at humor there. Then you will also have a FEMA camp at Camp Crome at the Elgin Air Force Base. Actually, that could be the same Air Force Base. Who knows? Okay. Georgia, your FEMA base or FEMA camps will be at Fort Benning, which is east of Columbus, Fort McPherson, Fort Gordon, which is west of Augusta, Unadilla, Dooley County, FEMA, which is basically going to be a FEMA manned prison. I don't know, I guess we're going to still have prisoners when everything goes to shit. You also have a FEMA camp in Oglethorpe, FEMA camp in Camilla, FEMA camp in Hawkinsville, FEMA camp in Abbeville, and FEMA camp in Fort Stewart. Hawaii, you're going to have a FEMA camp in Halawa Heights area, and your FEMA camp will be marked as State Department of Health Laboratory. Well, that's where it's going to be. That's what it's marked as now. So if you want to know where it's going, where your FEMA camp will eventually be, right now it is posing as State Department of Health Laboratory. So if you want to go to the Hawaii Heights area and check out your State Department of Health Laboratory, you can see what eventually your FEMA camp, where eventually your FEMA camp will be located. Idaho. Your FEMA camps are going to be in the Minidoka and Jerome counties. And again, it's going to be World War II Jap American facility. Also, there's going to be one in the Clearwater National Forest near Lobo Pass and Moose Creek. So those are the ones that I wrote down. Like I said, there are FEMA camps in all 50 states with the exception of the 2, Connecticut and Delaware, that we don't have data on. If you want to look up your state, I posted the link down in the information. You can click on that and look up your state and see the FEMA camp information there. I will keep you posted on any future FEMA related information. I'm going to be making more FEMA videos as I come up with more information. Thanks.